Shalom Aleichem, and welcome to Ikvot HaTorah, Footsteps in the Torah. And the last time we were together, we were still dealing with Parashah 2. We're now in 2e. We were talking about Devarim, Deuteronomy chapter 7, and going through the instructions that Yahweh had given to Israel prior to going into the land of Canaan. And some of the things that we have been talking about was not bringing the graven images and not bringing the abominable things and into your home, and not doing those things, and not doing the things of the nations, and particularly of the Canaanite nations, and what Yahweh referred to as the gods that the Canaanites were serving and worshiping. We covered a lot of different points, and one of the main point was that the children of Israel began to look like the people in the land, began to take on the ways of the people of the land through assimilation. Through their degeneracy, they began to serve and walk the ways of the people in the land, and their dealings and the way that they did things and the gods that they served, walking away from Yahweh. In every aspect of their lives, they were moving away from Yahweh. And we're going to continue on in this, and we have to understand that. And one of the other things I pointed out, that the Canaanite nations were black. There were 11 Canaanite nations, and 7 of them Yahweh told to drive out of the land. The children of Ham from Noah understood the power of Yahweh. Okay, the scripture says that Yahweh made a covenant with Noah and his children and his seed, and so his Noah's seed, his children, would be Shem, Ham, and Yafet. So all of them knew the instructions of Yahweh. So when Canaan was in Africa, they worshiped false gods. They worshiped Molech, Ashtaroth, and they did abominable things that Yahweh was admonishing Israel against not to do. And our ancestors began to take on the ways of Ham. Okay, so we Hebrews started doing things we had no business doing, and put us in a bad place with Yahweh. Instead of them walking away and holding to and loving Yahweh, they began to cling to the gods of the Canaanite nations. Okay, the gods of Baal, Baalat, Adonis, and those same deities the Hebrews frequented. Okay, our ancestors worshipped. Solomon worshipped many of the dark Canaanite people's gods. He married their women, and we had been advised not to do that. Our ancestors were advised not to do that. Actually, we were commanded, told not to do it. That he worshipped even the goddess Ashtaroth. And the reason why Yahweh told us not to marry the Canaanite women, so that they would not make us or turn us to follow false gods. Had nothing to do with their color. Okay, and that's why I'm laboring this color thing over here, because I want to cover some things here. And since the Exodus, they worshipped abominable images. And the homework that I was attempting to give to you before we cut off was, I want you to look at the abominable things that Israel was worshiping and doing. So in Deuteronomy, Devarim 9:12, chapter 32:21, Judges, Shoftim 17, verse 3, Melech, Aleph, 1 Kings 11:5-8, and verse 33. I'm sorry, chapter 33, verse 14, chapter 8-9, 2 Kings 17, 9-12, and verse 16, 2 Chronicles 33 and 7, and Psalms 106:19. Read those, stay with the study, and let Yahweh smile upon you and speak to your heart. All right, so we're going to continue on. In Bereshit 10, 15, and 18, Genesis. Okay, so in Genesis 10, 15, 18, we see the 11 nations, the Canaanite tribes that was in Canaan. I'm not going to try to pronounce it, but if you go to Bereshit, Genesis 10, 15 through 18, you'll see the 11 nations. But I want to deal with the elephant in the room. And that is, what is the ethnicity of the people in the region? Now, I want to let you know, I don't spend a lot of time on black and white issues, okay? But I'm going to labor this here so we can lay the foundation, so when we get further into the scriptures, you know who the people are and what you're dealing with, okay? I think that to labor in color, it deals with brings a lot of emotion, a lot of hatred out of people. That is not Yahweh. And so we're going to address this now because it's still in the beginning, so beginning of things, and that's why I want to address it. Okay, so in Bereshit, Genesis 10, we know that Noah has 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Yafet. And one of Ham's sons is Canaan, okay? And Canaan is the one in the land in which we're addressing that Israel kept going back into, right? So Ham, look in your, if you have Zondervan's dictionary, Compact Bible Dictionary, under the title Ham, it reads, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, okay, not the Negroes. Did you read that? Did you hear that? In Zondervan's, it says Ham was a progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, okay? The Negroes would be the Hebrews through Shem. But the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, the Libyans, and Canaanites. Ham is a progenitor of the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, the Libyans, and Canaanites. And it gives Genesis 10, 6 through 20 as a scripture reference. Now, you should already know that Shem and Ham are brothers, okay? And so marrying into any of the family members was an okay thing, but Yahweh told Israel not to marry the Canaanites, okay? And there was a reason, because they were worshiping false gods, all right? No other reason, not because they were white or anything like that, because they would make us serve false gods, okay? So in it also says the descendants of the original Ham is in Psalm 78:51, Tehillim 105:23, Tehillim 162 or 22. In these passages, Ham is used as another name for Egypt, as representing Ham's principal descendants. Okay. I want to be clear here that the scriptures does not use color as identifiers. Okay, that's something that came through Europe. All right, the scriptures does not use color as identifiers. So let's get rid of that hatred, that attitude. Okay, and let's start identifying individuals the way the scriptures identify them. Okay, that's how I do that for myself. Okay, identify the nations, or identify the Father, or identify them from the land. Okay, and I think it makes for a better relationship with people also. All right. So a common designation for a family is to identify the house of the family patriarch. For example, the house of Jacob or Yaakov, to identify the son as Ben Yosef or Yehoshua Ben Yosef. So, in other words, if you identify the family through the patriarch, you would say, this is Beit Yaakov, the house of Yaakov. Okay? If you're going to identify a son, then you would say Ben Yosef. You're identifying by a son. His son Yosef. He's the son of Yosef. Okay? Or you would say Yehoshua Ben Yosef. He is Yehoshua ben Yosef. Yehoshua, son of Yosef. All right? Okay, so that's how I'm going to try to identify the scriptures or people in the scriptures is in that vein right there. Okay? What has been established genetically, that has been scientifically established, the fact that every single person on the face of the earth today is related. It's scientifically established. It's genetically established. So don't argue with me. Okay? Argue with your scriptures. Okay? See what the scripture says. And genetically, scientifically, it's proven that everybody on this earth is related. And you can see that through Noah's children, Shem, Ham, and Yafet. Okay? It's been reported in journals. Same thing. They also have discovered something that seems to be a problem with a lot of people, that the first human beings were black. A lot of people wrestle with that. Okay? That's why we have the hatred in this world that we have today. But I think it's more of a spiritual thing. All right? As we go through the scriptures, you're gonna begin to see why different nations hate the Hebrew people. Okay, you're seeing one right now. Yahweh told us to go into the land of Canaan and destroy 11 or 7 of the 11 Canaanite people. Okay, and if you left any of them living, guess what? They want to come back at you. All right, so we see that these people who are in Africa, the Canaanite people, they're the ones who sold us into slavery to Yafet. Why? Because Yafet owned the ships. See what I'm saying? So when you follow scripture, you see who the people are and how the things that took place by understanding the individuals or the house or the land. Okay? So the scripture tells us these things. Again, is genetically proven that it's just established that every person we're family. But you can't get black out of white, and you can't get white, but you can get white out of black. Okay, I used to work in inks, and when I first started studying this, I went back to work and I took some ink and I put it in, and I put down white and put in black, and went black. Okay, just a smidgen, and it went black. I put down the black, put in the white, and it started getting recessive. Okay, so the other color that you can get all colors from is red and brown. Okay, and you get all colors from those 3 colors: black, red, or brown. Okay, so they were people of color in the story. So now we can see that all the Canaanite nations were black. I'm laboring this point for imagery's sake, all right? So that when we look in the scriptures, we no longer see it as that region as being white, like we were taught in Sunday school. I mean, they didn't tell you it was white, but you know, all the pictures and everything led you to believe and to understand that it was white. It was not white. Okay. Again, we're going to start here at ROTB Assembly. The way that we identify the scriptures, not by color. We're not trying to be offensive to people. We're not trying to hurt people, but we're trying to be honest with the scriptures. All right. So that when we read the scriptures, it tells us a correct history of our ancestors the Hebrew people and what was and should be the relationship between Yahweh and the Hebrew people. This is about the Hebrew people, our ancestors. Okay? And here at ROTB Assembly, we have a Bible that has the maps are inserted in parts of the scripture. When it talks about when you traveled, it said that in Bereshit 11, verse 31, that Abraham went from Ur of Chaldees to the land of Haran. Well, we put a map there for you to see his travels. Okay, without having to go into the back of the book or an appendix or something like that. It's right there. And we did the same thing with pictures and images of the people, what they would look like in the region. So you see a black Abraham. Okay, so that's to help our imagery. Okay, for that reason only. We didn't add to the scripture. We didn't take from it. We just included into it, and hopefully it gives you a better understanding and help you get through your get through the scriptures a little bit easier. Again, the families and tribes and people are not identified by color. They're identified by either tribe or by land, excuse me, or by family. But in order for me to have correct imagery, I just wanted to lay down this foundation for us so that as we see the scriptures, again, beginning, it all has a beginning. And if you don't lay down the foundation right, you know, it's going to fall. So if your seed, when you plant your seed and it's not in good ground, scripture tells you what happens to that seed. It withers and dies. Excuse me. Okay. So I touch bases on that. So from this point on, I'm going to endeavor to try to use the terms when I have to identify as someone's house, the name of someone's son, or the son identified by the father or identified by the patriarch. That also helps you to refer to the scriptures easier also, okay? So the second item that I'm going to address while I'm here doing this is the usage of the J in the Hebrew scriptures. There is no J in Hebrew, okay? Greek or Latin. There is no J. In the Hebrew text, it says Yehuda, Yerushalayim, Yehoshua. The equivalent for the term Jew is not in the Hebrew. There is no equivalent for the term Jew. The scripture says Yehuda because there was no J. The King James authorized translation, the New Testament into the English, began in 1604, and the first published was 1611. And there is no J in the 1611 edition of the King James Version. I would reach over there and grab my 1611 just to get you, so you can have a look at it. But you can purchase yourself. Go online and look at it. You can PDF it also. And look at the 1611 King James Version. There is no J. So after the 1611, you get a J. Before the 1611, there is no J. So if you come back into the first century and before, in Moshe's time, there's no J. Okay? In Ezra's time, there's no J. And we travel up to the first century in Yeshua's time. There's no J. So where do we get this term Jew? It's a made-up name. Okay? It's a made-up term. I have a list of, okay, let's see. In the scriptures, you should have a pen and paper. I'm going to give you this information. Again, in 1611, there's no J in the Bible. In 1582 through 1610, in Doe reigns, no J. 1560, Geneva version, no J. 1539, Coverdale Great Bible Version, no J. 1537, St. Matthew version of the Bible written in English according to the Coverdale and Tyndale version, no J. 1535, William Tyndale version, no J. 1529, no J. 1516, Saints Erasmus, no J. 1456, Gutenberg version of the Bible, the first book ever printed by typesetting method, no J. 1460, Moses ben Maimonides in the Talmud, official translation of the 5 books of Moshe, the Torah, no J. Okay, now I'm all the way down to the year 1460. Okay, the year 1382, John Wycliffe, first complete English version of the Old Testament, which we call the Torah, no J. Year 600 through 900, Masoretic text, no J. It says this version was written in Hebrew by the Jewish scribes of the Nazarite school. There's no J. Okay. 1400, St. Jerome's Latin Vulgate version based upon the Greek Septuagint version, 0, no J. Year 350 to 400, New Testament canon version of the first 27 books, Airy version of the original total of 45 books, no J. The 323, Bishops of Nicaea, on majority vote, approved the Immaculate Conception and virgin birth of Jesus Christ to Mary, no J. 322, Council of Bishops at Nicene, the group of bishops of Roman Catholic Church, no J. 52 through 100, Koine, Koine, Bible version, first Christian New Testament Bible published and circulated, written in Greek, in the Greek language. Parts were written in Aramaic, no J. Okay, so in Hebrew you can't get Jew. Anytime you read your scriptures and you see Jew, you got to put Yehuda. We have to get back to the beginning and seeing it and calling it the way it's called. That's an abomination to Yahweh. Okay. The word Jew came into existence in the year 1775 AD. Okay, and that modern connotation points to someone who follows and adheres to a faith similar to that of the Pharisees of, and it says Judah, but is not of the tribe and stock of Judah. In other words, Jews are people from nations other than the 12 Hebrew tribes, who practice a religion known as Judaism and Phariseeism, the doctrine of the Pharisees. And this is why I'm such a stickler when I talk to people and they see me and they talk to me and they say, hey, they see me, are you Jewish? I go, no, I'm Hebrew. Okay? Because the term Jew is a modern existing word. It was 1775. They know, the people in the land today, they know that they are not the true Hebrews. They have no connection to the Hebrew heritage, to the 12 tribes. So I'm not here to bash them or say anything negative, mean about them. I'm just stating facts. Okay, and for us as Hebrews, we need to know the facts, and we need to address these people in love, and the way Scripture tells us to, and let Yahweh do what Yahweh does. Okay. So when you hear, I know it's going through your head, same thing for the term Jesus. There is no Hebraic equivalent for Jesus. All right, none. The term in the scriptures is Yehoshua. Okay, and Yeshua is short for Yehoshua. So there's no Hebraic equivalent. There's no Greek equivalent also. It was a made-up term, it's a made-up word, okay, that came much later. Yehoshua and Yeshua, it's just like John and Johnny. Okay, Yehoshua is the large form of it, and Yeshua is the short form of it. All right. Another thing is that you can't translate. The names in the scriptures don't translate. That's why when you see Adam, and they put from the Hebrew Adam into the Greek Adam into the Latin Vulgate Adam, that's transliteration straight across the board. So names don't translate. When you translate Adam, you get something totally different. Okay, so just to help us understand that, I think it's beneficial. All right, I think it's very beneficial for us to know these things. And again, there's no hatred here, and we're not trying to force anybody to believe what I believe or anything like that. All I'm asking you to do is do your study, research it, okay, check it out. And if you want to walk with us, if you want to grow with us, then you're more than welcome. We do have you go through a year of study and a year of walking with the congregation, and a year of living within the community, with the community, because we're building a community. Okay, we're not trying to build a church. We're building this community the way Yahweh told us to, and the way it should have been when we came out of slavery. We should have done things the right way. Okay, and we haven't done it. You know, we have all these people who keep talking about we need this and we need that, we need the other. Well, let's do it. Let's make it happen. But let's do it under Yahweh. Let Him be our king. Let Him be our head. Okay. Devarim 9, Deuteronomy 9:4. Speak thou in thine heart. Now, after we've seen all this, all right, it says, speak not thou thine in thine heart, after that Yahweh thy power hath cast them out from before thee, saying. Now, after Yahweh has run out the Canaanites, He says, don't say in your heart, for my righteousness Yahweh hath brought me in to possess the land. But for the wickedness of these nations, the Lord does drive them out from before thee. So don't be saying in your heart because of, you think He's doing this because of your righteousness. It has nothing to do with you. It's because they were wicked. That's what He says. So don't be proud and boastful and be going after people and have this hatred spirit. So, you know, we have a lot of people who call themselves Hebrew brothers and Hebrew Israelites, and they preach a lot of hatred. That's not Yahweh. He just told you, don't say it's for your righteousness. Okay, be humble. All right, and it says, but for the wickedness of these nations, Yahweh hath driven them out from before thee. Not for thy righteousness, or for the uprightness of thine heart, doest thou go to possess their land, but for the wickedness of these nations, Yahweh thy power drives them out from before thee. You hear what He said? Again, it's not because of anything, the uprightness of your heart. Okay? He didn't do this because of that. And that He may perform the word which Yahweh sware unto thy fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. What did He swear unto them? To bring us into a good land. Okay? He's keeping covenant. That's why He's doing it. He's not doing it because that, you know, we're such great people. He already told us before in